Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. I'm Wanda.
And I'm Lorelco.
We got Koa here. He's in between his naps. So if you clicked on this video, then that means you're super excited about hearing about our birth story. So before I even get started, click subscribe down below right now.
Do it now.
Now, okay? Welcome to the family. We have so many things planned for y'all. So just come along the ride. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started and talk to you guys about our labor and delivery story. And here we go now. So I have my husband here. He is going to be just chiming in because a lot of stuff I think you remember that I don't remember. So
she's very detail oriented. I remember the macro.
There you go.
Know what I'm saying? She's real micro. I'm real macro.
I'm telling y'all the small things.
You know what I'm saying?
What are you talking about? So listen, October 15th was our due date, okay? So our due date came and went, and we were just like, what is happening? So I made it to 40 weeks, then I made it to 41 weeks, still no sign of a baby. I think we were 41 weeks in one day when my water broke. Yeah. And tell them what happened when my water broke. Like, what was the vibes? What was you feeling? All of the tea.
So, yeah, the vibes were we were in a very spiritual place because we were. Before this moment, we were kind of up in the air, like, okay, man, what's happening? We had a lot of false labors. Yes. You were having these crazy contractions, then they stopped all of a sudden. It was just like, what's happening? What's going on? And so we just got to a place, yes.
Can I say something really quick? Now I'm interjecting really quick. Listen, so if you're here or you're new here, you don't know, but we have twin boys, and their name is Casey and Kylo. We had them at 35 weeks. So honestly, I automatically assumed that I would be going into labor early. At least like in my mind, I was like 37 weeks, 38 weeks, like I'm gonna go into labor. I had a few like nights where I was counting contractions around like 36. So I was like, okay, I'm just like an early birth mom. Okay, so making it to 41 weeks was actually stressful for me because I was not expecting it. So if you were a mom and you're waiting on your due date, lower your expectations because babies become when they want to come and not a day earlier.
In their own time, their own pace.
Okay, so back to water breaking.
Yeah, so we decided to really, the past 3 of those days before your water broke, we just were in a very spiritual place. We need to get to a place with God where, okay, God, like, we're going to surrender to you. Like, it's getting 41, it's almost 42 weeks. That's scary. It's okay, but it's scary. So we just began to pray, began to really consult God and just talk to him just to get closer to God. Right. And Wanda walked up to me and she was just in this beautiful place with the Lord. We began to pray. Like, she was just, you know, she was there. And I was there with her. And I think once our spirit was settled, that's when God was like, it was crazy because I was actually in the room, in the kitchen, and I had these note cards that Wanda had bought to write our affirmations on. And
call you Affirmation Daddy.
Affirmation Daddy. You feel me? Affirmation Daddy.
I cannot.
So I had these affirmation cards that we haven't wrote anything on. And God was like, start writing. Write what you want your wife to hear. I was like, write what she needs to believe. I said, okay. He said, once you finish writing this, then you'll be ready to have your baby. I'm like, all right. Now, he told me this a couple of days ago. I didn't do it. I was like, I'll wait. This time it was clear as day. Write the affirmations. So I began to write the affirmations. We were in our spiritual time with God. Write the affirmations. And as soon as we did that, as soon as we prayed, Wanda was on the bed chilling. Boom! Lorelco! My water broke! And I was like, are you sure you're... Okay, it's her water. Gone.
Okay, it was weird because...
Water gone. You hear me? Water gone.
Guys, go look at our Instagram to see like his genuine response. When all this happened, we both just went into like a state of just like low-key fight or flight, I would say. Like we just
didn't know what to expect. Yeah, this is how we cope with stress. We just
started shaving his chest.
Shaving my chest. My
son,
need
to shave my armpits.
You know what I'm saying? She had to shave her armpits. I want to do skin-to-skin contact with no hair on my chest.
What was he doing? We was just like, I felt like you were just around the house like an Energizer bunny.
Yeah, I was just getting stuff together. Let's get the pool. Let's do this. Let's do all this other stuff because it's happening. He on the way.
Yeah, the crazy part about it is like because we were doing a home birth, we were not going to the hospital. Right. It was a waiting game. Like when you see movies and it's like your water breaks and then you think you're going into labor right then and there. And that was not the case for us. We did not go right into labor. I was having contractions, but I wasn't like, nothing was consistent.
Right.
And so it was frustrating me. And I was like finding myself in a state of frustration. And then I knew, well, I got like this message from my midwife team that basically was like telling me, I guess like the state of Texas, like they recommend if you 24 hours past like your water breaking, you know, there's a chance of an infection, all this stuff basically. So I'm like battling fear, also battling negative thinking, because I was like, at that point, once my water broke, I said, this baby better come in like right now, right then and there. Right. So I feel like from the time my water broke, well, I mean, I'll just say like that's whole pregnancy, but definitely the rubber hit the road when my water broke. It was like time to really figure out, like, am I going to surrender to God's will, or am I going to go off of the image of birth that I have in my mind?
Right.
So that's when the real battle began, I think.
Yeah. So that was on a Saturday night. So we just decided to take some rest, just go to sleep, just rest. And the next morning, Wanda said she's going to go out and do some curb walking with a friend.
Yes.
Mika, so she started doing some curb walking.
I was having contractions, and I'll insert a video of like me curb walking. Yeah. Literally having a contraction. My friend took a video of it. But I was literally having contractions, but they just were not consistent. Yeah. So throughout that time, I was like talking to my doula, and I was like, they're not getting consistent, you know. So like I'm stressing out about it. And she's like, well, maybe the baby's in a bad position. So they recommend the mile circuit. Google it on YouTube. If you have not done it, start doing it if you're pregnant. That was really relaxing for me, but it includes curb walking for 30 minutes. So I was literally curb walking, trying to make sure my pelvis just would open up and the baby's head would fall, etc. And honestly, none of that got my contractions consistent. And so they were recommending like me go to a chiropractor. Maybe I just need to be aligned a little bit better. Or, but there's also this institute that I was going to. It's kind of like a massage institute, but it's definitely a level above. Yeah. It's more like body work. And shout out to Kekino Healing Institute, Kekino. If you're in Dallas, go there if you're pregnant, okay? Especially if you're a VBAC mom. I don't know if I mentioned this, but if you're new here, I was having a VBAC at home. That is a lot of different like probability things stacked against us, because, you know, VBACs are hard because at the same time, like, you're battling the fear of what happened last time, that, you know, your body will fail you. Like, that's what I felt. I felt like my body failed me. My kids one of my sons ended up in the NICU. He ended up like going through a surgery, this whole dramatic situation. It's all on our YouTube channel if you want to like catch up. And so for me, I battled since the birth of the boys that like my body was not capable of giving birth. Obviously we had done IVF. So I was like, man, maybe like this just wasn't meant to be, like whole thing. So there was just a lot relying on this birth. It was like redemption. It was like basically my body and me and God all working together to like realize that I could do it, you know? Mm-hmm. I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. He says that to the boys every night. But truly, so y'all, that was when I feel like it was more so spiritual warfare than anything, because I was just battling like this fearful thought, this like, oh my gosh, my body's not going to do it. My body's taking too long. Like, just God, what is happening? Like, am I going to end up in the hospital, etc., etc. So during that time, all of a sudden I come back in. So I decided I'm going to go to Kekino, which I've been there. Like, that was my third time going. And when I come back, I'm like, all right, babe, we're going to go to Kekino. My assistant was going to take us. And then what happened to you?
Yeah, so for the past 2 days, of course, I tore my Achilles. Yes. When Wanda was, what, 35 weeks? Somewhere around there. Y'all. I tore my Achilles, had to get surgery. And so I had to start off in a splint. Then I took the splint off and I'm in a cast. So at this point, I'm in a cast. And the cast started getting heavy. And I started getting shortness of breath. My breath was just, I don't know, it was weird. Everything was, simple tasks seemed difficult to do. Getting out of the bed seemed difficult. So I think I was laying down and one was like, all right, it's time for us to roll. And I was like, all right, cool. And so I get out the bed and I go to put on my little knee crutch. And Wanda's like, come on, let's go. I'm like, give me a second. And because it was hard for some reason. It was very difficult to get out the bed and to put the knee crutch on. And Wanda's like, are you having shortness of breath? I said, yes.
And one thing about me, I'm going to go from 0 to 100.
Yeah, so
I was scared.
Right, so the probability of you getting a blood clot after surgery from an Achilles is pretty normal. It's possible that you can get a blood clot. I have a friend, two friends that we know that ended up getting a blood clot after they torn their Achilles. And so that was a instant fear, Wanda. We need to go to the hospital right now. It's like, okay, your water broke last night. At any point, you can be in labor. After you do this massage, I'm pretty sure you can go into labor. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing it. We're going to the hospital. We're going to the hospital. And so we have our assistant. Her mother is a doctor, called the doctor. And she's like, yeah, you need if you're having shortness of breath, the cast seems heavy, there's a lot of things. Yeah, you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, it was all signs were like.
Yeah, all signs was pointing to blood clot. And so I was like, oh, goodness, this is terrible timing again. And so. Y'all,
we've just been having one thing after another happening, I promise you.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So went to the hospital. I was there for like 3 to 5 hours. And I finally got all the testings done and everything seemed normal. Yeah, everything seemed normal, and I didn't have a blood clot, thank the Lord. And so, but I was looking, I was like, I think I need to leave. Like, Wanda seemed like she was in a place where she was getting ready to go. I'm like, I told the doctor, say, get this stuff off me. Say, get all this stuff off me. You know, so you know, off the movies when they be like, just ripping stuff off of their body. That's what I was doing. They had the stuff hooked up on me. I said, get this off me. I'm getting all these tapes and stuff off me. I said, I got to get out of here. My wife is pregnant. And the baby's due at any moment. I don't want to miss it. So
he was gone for like 5 hours, and so I was gone for what, like 2 hours?
Yeah.
So we literally dropped him off at the emergency room. Yeah. The boys are crying because they're like, "Where's Daddy?"
Where's Daddy going? Yeah.
So then we go down the road to Coquino, and while I'm there, he's at the emergency room. He's updating us, and I'm also in this massage bodywork session. Yeah. So when I get back there, basically, John there is like a specialist, and he can literally feel the positioning of the baby through my stomach. So he literally feels like where the baby's at, and he was like, no, like the baby's in the perfect position, like your body is ready, like you're ready to give birth. But and he's talking to my birth team, because my birth team, shout out to Swiss Avenue Birth, okay, and shout out to a working mama. That was real ghetto. But no, shout out to them, okay?
Bartender came out real
Period.
Rialto.
Period.
Okay.
My whole birth team, y'all, I'm going to link them down below, because if you're in Dallas and you're thinking about a home birth, every single person was essential, especially just everybody, okay? So my birth team knew who I was going to. They suggested him, and he had helped me to like mobilize my C-section scar, all of those things. So when I was there, he was just like, no, like, he's really, really in tune to the body and like just energy and just all this stuff, y'all. And he was just like basically saying like, you know, Wanda, like your body is in the perfect position. The baby's ready when he's ready. It just seems like you may be worrying too much. Like you're in a place of like not having peace, basically. So that's when he just like started to just speak into me, and my doula had met me there. And basically they were just talking about peace and like what peace means. And basically, on my post on Instagram, I shared like a little bit of what he had shared with me, but it was like a breaking point, because 14 weeks into the pregnancy, or like even in the beginning, like after I had gotten a positive pregnancy test, I told my friend Vicky, I was like, yeah, like God is like really laying on my heart that like I should look up a name that means peace, because like I have so much peace. And that was like abnormal, because the boys' pregnancy, I felt like I was stressed so much and everything. I had so much peace, and just like one thing after another like led to even more peace, like the home birth and just like us, like as our relationship and like taking care of the boys while pregnant. I walked the entire 41 weeks. Like we just had a great team and just great systems in place. I just feel like for this pregnancy, like he was at peace, I was at peace. Like there were no worries, and it was like just the grace of God. So it was just full circle moment. So he was just like, you know, peace means basically there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to handle. Basically, you just learn how to be. And that's a word that Lo had given me too, which the night that my water broke, you had told me like to rest in God and like rest where I'm at, instead of like, cause I was like, babe, do you have a word about transitions? And so the word he gave me, tell her, babe.
Oh yeah, so she told me, she said, what can you tell me about transitions? I said, give me a moment, give me a second. So I go outside. My baby went to
go pray for me, okay?
When I went outside and just talked to God, and he told me that transitions are between two questions. Where do I go from here, or what do I do from here? And if you're in between these two questions, they can either lead you one or two ways. Where do I go from here is a fight or flight response. It means I'm running from something. I'm running away from the pain. I'm running away from whatever it is that's causing me distress. What do I do from here is sitting in the pain, sitting in the very thing that you would want to run from, and allowing God to comfort you in that moment so that you can transition to the next. And so that's what God gave me. I said, maybe you just need to sit in it. Maybe you just need to sit in this uneasiness, being uncomfortable, being in an unfamiliar position, an unfamiliar place. Sit in it and allow God to transition you. Don't run from it. The more you run, the harder it becomes. And so that's that's the message that God told me.
Then he prayed over me, and I had peace in that moment.
Yeah.
And then literally we were just in bed.
You actually just sat in it.
Yeah,
you actually sat in it. He's like, all right, I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in it. I'm just going to allow God to do the rest.
Yeah. And so basically John reiterated the same thing that you said about he said it's not, peace means it's not what's happening in the world, but it's who you decide to be in the world. Peace becomes your essence. Yeah. And it was just so beautiful. Honestly, it was so powerful. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally have been praying, I feel like my whole life for peace, peace of mind, peace in God's will, just peace in allowing God to really do things and not try to have my hand in them, And so I leave there, I'm in a good place, and then I guess I'm in early labor at that point. So my doula comes to the house. She meets me at the house, and because Lo was at the hospital, we didn't know what was going to happen. And then Lo gets home, and I'm pretty much in early labor. I'm having contractions, but they weren't consistent. So basically I'm just I guess in limbo in a way. And so my midwife, one of the midwives comes over, and she starts talking to me and stuff. So I'm just breathing through contractions. I'm doing all the things that I've been learning through the Christian hypnobirthing app and my doula's class and all these things. I'm just following all these, whatever. So I'm feeling okay, my midwife, she leaves. She's we think we'll all be back. I'm sure, we'll be back, but I'm not supposed to call them until the contractions are happening every 4 minutes, lasting 1 minute for an hour. For an hour. So
we call it 411.
Yeah. So, we're timing them, and for me, I just felt in my mind, I'm just having still having this battle of what I feel birth should be versus what's really happening. And so I'm just going back and forth. My contractions are stagnant, they're just not consistent. And it's just everything is a battle of my mind. I'm still feeling the pain of the contractions. When I would rest or let myself fall asleep, the contraction would be more intense. So it's the baby was trying to come, but then you had Wanda trying to control everything in a way. So my husband and my doula are doing counter pressure. They're motivating me. They're there. We're listening to our worship playlist, all those things. And literally I just labored the entire night, really 18 hours of labor. Yeah. So it's about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at some point, and I'm in the bathtub because I'm having my comfort measures is the shower. Yeah, the shower, not the bath. I'm in the shower and I'm laboring, and I know that these contractions are coming every 4 minutes. My husband is counting them down and stuff.
I'm looking. Because
I'm looking at your facials.
It's a whole hour. Yeah, I didn't know she was looking at my facials. It's been a whole hour and a half at this point. It's an hour and a half, and I'm looking. I'm man, I'm looking at the doula. I'm looking at Wanda. So I think it's 411. You gonna call somebody or
So I feel I got discouraged when they didn't call anybody because I'm Amy and the team supposed to be here. Yeah. Call my photographer, call these people. And so literally I'm still trying to run this whole show mid-active labor and just battling. And I'm talking to God, and I hear God tell me trust me, literally. So I keep telling myself trust God, trust God, trust God. In between that, I'm battling with because whenever I went to the OBGYN, they were there's a 1% chance that you can die because of uterine rupture. So when I'm feeling rupture in not rupture, I did not feel that in Jesus' name. But when I was feeling pressure in my pelvis, I'm thinking to myself, is it any day now? I'm about to rupture. So I'm battling all these fearful thoughts. And so I'm just putting my body in a state of just weird vibes. Okay. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, I go outside. My doula's tells Lo, go ahead and get you a nap, whatever. So he gets a nap. So I go to the backyard. It's kind of raining. I'm out there. I'm just mad at this point. Because I'm just okay, this is just taking too long. This should have been here. Why didn't we call this person? Why didn't we call that person? And just I'm just frustrated because obviously it's been like just hours and hours of being in labor. I'm in pain and I just want it to be over. So she's talking to me and she's like, you know, Wanda, like in every birth, there's that moment of surrender where you surrender to God. And I noticed that like once you surrender, like your body knows that it's safe to bring a baby into the world and like you feel one with God. Yeah. And so like, I don't think I've seen you get to that point, you know, and mentally you have a lot going on. Rightfully so, you know, she was definitely validating, but she was just being honest with me, which I love that. And she's like, you know, I just think that you really got to go back into that shower because you had the most progress there and like really talk to God and see what God says. And so I'm just like, okay. So I go into the shower. I literally just surrender to God. Like in that moment, I start to just surrender completely. And it's so crazy because all the stuff that John was saying was like coming back to me. So like for me, I have a lot of like childhood trauma. I have a lot of just like things that even he identified within my body, which is crazy. And so for me in that moment, it was like, I know I have to release so much stuff. Like, I'm not just like birthing this baby, but I'm like birthing out the pain, birthing out the things that cause me to feel like I need to be in control all the time, and birthing out the things that cause me to like have fear and not trust God, and even down to my mother and my father. And so I'm just thinking about all these things, and literally God is showing me my life. Like I literally saw my life flash before my eyes. I saw a 13-year-old homeless girl. And like when God found me and when God saved me, and like I couldn't control that. Like it was literally God was in control. And so a song on my playlist, Nothing Else. And it's like, take me back to where we started, where I opened up my heart to you. And I'm just like bawling tears because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is that moment where basically I'm surrendering to God as if I just met him. And I hear God say, you have no power. Like you have no control over this. Like basically you can do nothing. And in that moment, I'm like, wow, I literally can't do anything. Like even the Bible says like what with worrying can add another day to his life? Nobody. So I'm just like in tears and I'm like, yo, I can't do anything.
I feel like that's where peace comes in, because when we talked about you can't have peace without war. And so Wanda was in a place where she was warring against her expectations. She was warring against what she felt, what should be when things were the opposite. And so she was at war. And so finally she felt peace when she gave herself and her mind, her body to God. When she surrendered, that's where peace settled. And peace can only settle once you give up the fight.
Yeah.
But you can't have peace without war.
You have to have a fight. There has to be a fight. There has to be a storm. There has to be something around you. Think about Jesus on the boat. And I don't mean to preach, but we're going to preach if y'all get on our little video. Like when Jesus was in the boat and there was a war, there was a storm going around him, and he literally, and the disciples were scared. Oh gosh. The disciples were scared and Jesus said, peace, be still. Like peace is a choice. Yeah. Peace is not a moment. Peace is not when things are calm. Peace is you choosing to see a storm as calm. So like I literally still had the pain of the contractions. They're actually getting stronger. Yeah. But I said like, God, I'm going to choose to surrender my body, surrender this moment, surrender this pain. Like do what I'm taught to do, release, relax, and like allow my body to be submitted to this moment. Okay.
Now this happened a couple times now.
No, this was the only real time, babe.
Oh, that's the only real time?
Yeah, so this is like, I mean, the other times I was half surrendering and I was grabbing it back like, oh, I'm still in control. Okay, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess I felt like I was 75%
you
here,
75%.
Okay? So,
but you still felt peace. Yeah.
But once I got out the shower, I come out the shower and I'm just like, literally, I go into active labor immediately. I want to say that. And so, but in that, I was literally like, there was one huge contraction. And then when I breathed it out, I was like, that's my mom. That's my dad. And like, I literally was doing that. Okay. So I was in active labor and I was just like releasing just like my expectations, the pain of the last birth, all that stuff. Okay. So yeah. So after that, everything's a blur. Really, I mean, it's not everything's blur, but then that's when like things just progressed. I remember Amy getting there. I remember you were filling up the pool.
I was doing all kind of stuff.
And then I was like on the bat. They were just taking me all throughout the house.
Yeah, we were all through the house. And Wanda's like, where's the alcohol? Where's my husband? I was like, well, I'm getting stuff together.
And Kaysen was with me, though.
Kaysen was with me. Kai was a little unbothered. You know,
where was Kai?
He was just all over the place.
I have pictures. I'll insert them. Like, Kaysen was like next to me. I remember him kissing me. I remember Amy just saying, your mom's making big, strong noises.
Yeah. Kaysen was involved heavily. But yeah, and so I think from that point forward, from 6:37 now, the boys leave. The pool is filled up. I think you were in the bathroom. the toilet to, I think you were in the toilet or in
one bathroom to another bathroom to the.
Yeah, so we was going station to station to station.
Yeah.
So we finally got her into the pool in the living room.
It was really relaxing, but I don't feel like I was progressing like that. I was just chilling.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I was trying to console and do all the things, you know.
Yeah, we were kissing because oxytocin is like something that helps progress labor.
Right.
And you were really like you were reading some of the affirmations, and you kept saying like, sufferings of its present time not worthy to be compared
to the glory.
And then sometimes he was talking so much, I was like, all right, babe.
Yeah, she had to tell me, hold on.
All right.
I don't heard enough. I said, all right. I ain't offended, you know, because when she's at that moment, when she's at that point, your feelings are out the window.
Come on.
You can't be offended. Just like,
you were really like a good support. I feel like you were really good.
I tried my hardest, you know. I didn't think anything about it.
So the crazy part was when it was time to push, I did not expect to push because I've watched a million birth videos, and sometimes it just feels like no one's pushing.
Yeah.
And like they have this like fetal ejection reflex, and they're breathing the baby down. It's so calm, the baby pops out. Okay, so in my mind, I just have this image that I'm not gonna push.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out why is the baby not coming out. Okay. So I end up just kind of, I guess I get up, I talk to my dude, I'm like, okay, what's happening next? You know, whatever. Just feels like he's maybe stuck. So like I'm going back to worry mode. And because my cousin had a baby 2 days before and said that the baby's shoulder got stuck. And so in my mind, I thought I was having this like 10-pound baby. And so I was like, what if he's stuck, this and that? So I'm just going into a state of like worry again. Yeah. And so they had me doing all types of stuff, squatting down and pushing back.
They done brought scars out. She's pulling the scars, pulling her body. And it was all kinds of stuff.
So
we moved from the pool to the room at this point. So after the pool, during the pool, I was like, yo, I feel like I'm performing. Y'all just leave. Like, everybody just left, you know. And so she could try to do her thing, but it wasn't working. She had to use the bathroom, so she left, went to use the bathroom, and then we went to the room to try these other methods to get her in position, because the contractions were getting stronger and stronger, and I feel like she was in more pain because of the contractions, and so we
I didn't think they could get any worse, and that's what I think they peaked. I done pooped, okay? I pooped, y'all.
It went so far. They had her on my leg. Now I got my cast on now. So they had me sit down on the stool, and I had her lay down on my leg and just go. You know what I'm saying? Just relax and just handle these contractions. All of a sudden, you know, she just let it out. I said, you know what? Just let it out. I don't smell enough poop in my life with the boys.
You didn't care?
No, you're in labor.
I was like, at that point, I was like, all right. I said, all right, this is enough. I saw him pooping. I could smell it. I said, this is just disgusting. Y'all gotta go. Because, like, you're pooping, you're pushing, and you're pooping. So I was like, all right, y'all. This is just too much. So I like, all right, I'm going to go in the bath. Oh, no, I think after that I went to the bathroom, obviously. Got clean and stuff. But then after that, I came back out, and then they had someone was like, they were going to encourage me some more. And this was like my peak. Okay, I said, all right, y'all. I said, I've had enough. I said, this is not working. I said, this is just like the end. Okay. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Okay. Thank you guys so much. You've been so helpful. I said, but I can't do this anymore. I said, then I remember I looked at my husband. I said, babe, we need to go to the hospital. We need to go. And he's looking off to the distance. I said, and they're like, well, you know, they're trying to just see if I really want to go, blah, blah, blah. And I said, babe, I'm not even listening. I just don't know. I said, babe, why are you listening to them? I was like, we gotta go to the hospital. You were not
that soft spoken. So
okay, I'm just saying how I felt. But how did I sound? What did I say?
No, you was like adamant. I need to go to the hospital right now. I need to go to the hospital. I'm not playing. I can't handle this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Then you would start crying. I just can't do this. I need to go to the hospital right now. Like,
then a contraction came and I had to breathe through it.
She had to breathe through it. And then
they were like, all right, Wanda, if you want to go to the hospital, that's fine. You know, we would not deny you. Like, but you may
have the baby
in the car. Mind you, at this point, y'all, I literally like could put my finger up and the baby was like right at the
they had me feel the tip.
So the baby was in the canal, okay? Let's just say that. His head was already down there.
He wasn't out, but it was.
But the thing is that when we would push, I would feel him come down, and then it was like he was going back up. And I said, bro, like these contractions are too strong. But what I was in was transition. So if you've ever read anything about giving birth, there's transition where you're like 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters. I was not getting checked. So I didn't know. We don't know about none of that. They're really trained. I don't need to get checked because I didn't want to risk the infection, whatever. So they knew that I was in transition by that. Literally, I remember on my doula's page, she had something about like when a woman says, or someone shared like when my client says that they're done and that they want to go to the hospital. And then it's like a smirk face of like basically saying that's when they know that you're about to push and give birth to a baby. So like the peak of pain means that you're right on the brink of a blessing. Come on. But seriously, like that's what it meant in birth, that like the worst possible pain at that worst moment, like if you can just hold on.
This is what I learned.
And persevere through that. Come on, Kobe.
That's what I learned. When you said transition is usually painful.
Yeah, it is.
Transition usually is not a breeze. It's usually very painful. So when you were at the brink of pain, know that you're in transition. And
that's like in life and in birth.
In life
okay.
and in birth,
so I was literally being rebirthed in this moment. Like, oh my gosh, I was so they literally like, Wanda, do you really want to go to the hospital? I said, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. I just want this baby out. That's what I remember saying. Yeah. So anyways, I get in the bath. They're like, let me give you and Lo a moment, because they knew that Lo was going to like really get me in a good place. So he starts to, I feel like you got me a good place. I was in like a nice place. Then one of the midwives comes in and she gives me this technique to push. Yeah. And so finally I feel the little ejection reflex situation. I'm like, oh, I'm really pushing right now. And I felt the baby start coming down. I'm like, oh, I got this, okay? So it's still painful though. Like, oh my gosh, it was painful. I'm like, it's burning. So one thing that I was like, I literally attribute this whole success to this thing called my doula, okay? So she literally tells me, she's like, Wanda, push. You can push till the baby crowns. But when the baby crowns, you're going to feel like pushing them out. She's like, don't push. Just breathe. Like, practice the breathing that we've taught. So mind you, I've gone to a pelvic floor therapist for this whole pregnancy. Shout out to my pelvic floor therapist if she's watching this. Love you. I've done my breathing exercise every day. I've done like just a lot of mental work. Chiropractor. Yeah, so like birth is literally 80% mental. That's when I realized that. Because like, yes, the pain is painful, but at the end of the day, like mentally, you got to be there. Okay. You can walk, you can squat, you can do all those things, but if you are not mentally there, so that's when I was like, okay, so I literally heard her say that. And so once the baby crowned, y'all, they call it the ring of fire, and they don't call it the ring of fire for no reason. Like, it was the ring of fire. So Lo is so excited. Oh my God, I see his head. He's crying. Everybody's just like, they see his head, but I'm like, okay, I feel this very intense urge to push. But I'm like, no, I'm listening to my doula. She's got it. She's like, want to just breathe. So literally my breath was like, so when I was doing that, what were you seeing?
No, he was coming out slowly, but sure. Then he'd come back up, bore out, came back up.
Yes. So
and then all of a sudden he just dropped. And so my hands were ready. She was like, get your hands ready. And I saw him already.
I'm standing, by the way, y'all.
She's standing at this point. And I'm just like, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for him. Make sure my hands is, you know what I'm saying, ready to receive the gift of the Lord. And so I was just ready, man. I was really excited. I was very emotional, tearing up, and because I think that was just like a connecting point for me. You know, just to see her go through this process, through the labor, and finally see the result of the pain.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
You preaching, okay?
I'm just talking. But you know what I'm saying? But I was just there. And so when she finally pushed, and I was grateful that she was pushing, and then she would stop, and she would do this push, stop. So there was something about that rhythm that really, I don't know, I just grabbed hold to that rhythm, because you would stop, and then you would just do this, because you listen very well with your breathing. And so thankfully I caught him, and I had
you're crying though. I feel like you were crying.
I was crying.
So he's crying. Then he hands the baby to me, and I turn around with the baby, and I'm like, I remember looking at myself in the mirror, I said, oh my gosh, I did it.
Yeah.
We did it. So I'm literally just holding the baby like.
I think it helped that you saw yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, because I was like shook, because literally I had played tricks on my mind that it wasn't a real baby in there. I was like, this seems like impossible that this baby's coming out of there. Yeah. And so like that moment was just like, oh my gosh, so much joy, because I'm like, wow.
That's incredible.
We really did this. Like, stuck it through, didn't go to the hospital, like endured the pain. Yeah. The Bible said it. Jesus endured the cross, despising the shame, is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. It said, who for the joy that was set before him. So I'm literally like finally realizing Jesus.
Absolutely.
Jesus sacrificed for us. Like, I don't know, it was so spiritual for me, y'all. I'm worshiping and I'm crying even before that. And I'm like, so for me, it was just like, this is what it means when it says like you endure pain. Yeah. Because I've never experienced that much physical pain in my life. It's like the closest to God. But it was beautiful.
That's like the closest to God I've ever been. And I wouldn't give birth.
You didn't experience it.
All right, I wouldn't give birth.
But you were empathizing with me.
That was the closest God I've ever felt. And I wasn't even one giving birth. And that's just, and that was incredible to me. I couldn't only imagine where, you know, how she was feeling.
I just was like, I don't know, there's just so much doubt that like I could do that. So once I did it, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So we walk out, and then I go deliver the placenta. And
this is all unmedicated, by the way. Wanda did all this.
Unmedicated, okay? No medication.
Say you need, you know, for those who didn't have to do medication.
No, I just felt it was redemptive because, you know, we had to medicate to have the baby.
Right. You know.
So it was like, okay, if I can't have the baby by myself or on our own, you know.
And you didn't tear.
You farted, Papa. Oh, yeah, so no tears. That prevented all tears. So I had literally no tears. So they go in there. I did hemorrhage. Like, I had a lot of blood loss, but they, like, replaced with fluids. And I was fine. And then baby boy was fine. Yeah. And so they put him on my skin. And we just bonded with, like, a family for an hour to monitored our vitals. Then they left. And the boys got there after preschool. Yeah. They met their baby brother, y'all.
Yeah, they were excited. And they knew what was happening. I think we prepped them up enough to know what was going on. And so as soon as they saw the baby, they were like, baby, go out. I was like, oh,
they were so happy, y'all. Look on my page. I think I posted this on, I did a YouTube short too. So check out the response. But it was like the best day ever.
It was amazing.
And then I remember my husband, he was like, you're my queen. I'll do anything. He's like, you don't got to ask me to do nothing twice no more. Like, he was just telling me.
I meant it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
I meant it. I ain't been back. It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wait, 2 months. I'm just kidding. No, he's been great, y'all. Like, this has been, like, I feel like it was so much redemption. What is it? Redemptive or redemption?
Redemption.
Yeah, it was like redemption. It was just like, wow, we had to go do IVF twice, okay? Yeah. We just have had so many bad things happen to us, you know, especially, and even just me by myself, like, it was always like something bad happening to me in my life. Like, a lot of unfair things happened. And this moment just felt like, oh my gosh, like, if I literally relinquish all control and don't try to, like, limit pain, because pain is a part of life, you know, like, pain happens. And so, like, I don't know, I just felt like I learned how to have peace for once in my life. And so I just wanted to, like, I literally told she reminded me of this when she came by to check on me on Friday, my doula. She was just like, when I came out of the bathtub, I literally was like, yo, like, I told her what God told me. And I was like, I've been like this my whole life. And like, in this moment, my life is forever changed. I literally wrote her that after the birth, because initially, like, with the pain, I was having like some after pains and stuff that just made me feel like overwhelmed, like still having contractions while the baby was feeding or whatever. But after 24 hours, they were gone, because I took me some ibuprofen, okay? They were gone, and I remember telling Lo, I was like, I don't know if I said, we're not doing IVF again. Right. I said, but if we randomly got pregnant, I would do this again. Like, I just felt like I could do this again. So that's our birth story, y'all. That is our birth story, okay? We have a video that was made by an incredible videographer, birth videographer. Like, that's her specialty. So we hope to share it with you soon. But we just want to get on here while everything was still fresh and share our home birth story. So if you're thinking about a home birth, you're thinking about unmedicated birth,
you can do it.
You can do it, okay? That is our home birth experience, okay? And this is our baby. Let's just meet the baby now. He's sleeping now, so sorry. He's not going to talk to you guys. This is our baby, Koa Peace Mulzac.
Hey, Koa.
And Koa was born 8 pounds, 6... Was it 7? 8 pounds, 7 ounces.
On our 8th year anniversary.
Our 8th year anniversary, y'all. I literally thought he was going to not do that.
I thought for sure it was going to be Sunday. I said, in a way, he coming on our anniversary.
On our anniversary,
There's no way.
In the Bible, the number 8 means new beginnings. So it was just absolutely surreal, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got our anniversary baby. And he came in, he showed up and showed out. And he said, I am the moment.
Right.
I never would have guessed. On our anniversary, like when we got married, I never would have guessed 8 years from now we would have a baby, on our actual anniversary.
Our 3rd child at that.
Our 3rd baby boy. So yeah, that is the baby boy Koa. That is our birth story. Peace. You know why his middle name is Peace. Y'all should know now. So yeah, we can call him KP.
KP, what's
Coco. Coco Bear.
You sleep Coco? You
What do you
sleep
call
KP?
him?
Huh?
What do you call him? You just call him Koa right now.
I call my sons by their name. You know.
I'm screaming.
Kason, Kylo.
I thought you call him K and Kai. Do you?
So I do sometimes. Okay, but they respond when I say Kason.
Really? I never noticed that. Okay, yeah, I'm learning something new. But I call him all types of
I tried to call him
nicknames,
Kason KK today. He didn't respond to me. I was like, you know, Kason comes running.
Oh, well, yeah. So we got Kason, Kylo, and Koa Mulzac in the place. Okay. So, any other videos you guys want to see from us? Any questions, comments, all that? Drop it down below in the comment section. And we will talk to you next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye. Oh, peace. Yeah, I was going to do peace.
Peace.
Peace.